The new CBS YouGov poll swung 6 points, now having Vice President Kamala Harris beating Donald Trump. And if you take a look at just some of the most recent polls, like the Economist YouGov poll, the RMG poll, the FAU, and the Civics poll, Donald Trump is now behind. Massive swings towards Vice President Kamala Harris. What is Donald Trump and MAGA doing? Well, they are posting fake photos of Donald Trump like this with clear AI-generated images and messages like they are afraid of black women supporting Trump because when we do, we drop the Hood Rat Act and the left hates classy women, one of the worst AI jobs I've ever seen. And then Donald Trump's campaign is posting unhinged, whiny messages accusing the polls, get this, of being rigged and unfair. Donald Trump went from post after post of this poll and that poll, and now that he's behind in typical Trump whiny fashion, he's saying it is all rigged. This was the press release put out by a very desperate Trump campaign. They write, Trump campaign polling analysis shows that the CBS YouGov sampling skews national poll result. And so now they're accusing the fake news, as they say, of manipulating the polls to have Donald Trump lose. The fake news media continues to help dangerously liberal Kamala hide her record of economic failure and soft on crime policies. Now, as this analysis shows, they'll even put a finger on the scale of polling to inflate results for her. So Trump is accusing the polling companies now of fraudulently inflating results so Donald Trump is losing. The press release by Trump's campaign goes on to say, this analysis is why the American people are seeing through it and will not allow this national gaslighting campaign to win. And then it goes on to just whine more and more and more. The interesting thing is, even in those polls that would skew in favor of Republican, like the RCP, the Real Clear Politics average, Donald Trump's now losing there, as Matt McDermott, a polling expert, says. Kamala Harris now has a national lead in the polling averages at both 538 and RCP. Not a good sign for Trump that even polling averages engineered to benefit Republicans are now showing him behind. Other average national presidential polling averages have Vice President Kamala Harris up 2.7%. The RCP has her up 1.5% when you include lots of averages, which include actually kind of very bad right-leaning polls like Rasmussen and others. Then even when you get to like the Polymarket betting sites that Donald Trump would always post over and over again, he's losing there. The Polymarket 2024 swing state betting market, Pennsylvania as Vice President Kamala Harris up 16. And in Michigan, Vice President Kamala Harris is up 14. Big movement there. And look, this is as Donald Trump continues to attack Republicans. He spent his entire Georgia speech, or a good portion of it rather, attacking the Republican governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, and the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger. As our editor-in-chief at MeidasTouch Network, Ron Filipkowski, says, this is Donald Trump's party, y'all. On the one hand, what they believe is good for the Republican Party in 2024. Amber Rose, OnlyFans model, crypto kind of scammy stuff that she's done in the past. There she is. And there's Brian Kemp, who the MAGA Republicans say is bad for the GOP. Donald Trump is also sending unhinged emails like this. Fill out your Trump sample ballot. Trump wants to make him feel good by sending emails to those supporters on his listserv. And here's the types of things that he's saying. Ben, this election is now Trump v. Harris. If they don't replace her like they threw Biden to the side like a dog, I need to know who you're voting for right now. Fill out your ballot. Or how about this one? One message pending from Trump is the subject line of the email Trump sends to his listserv. And here's what it says. I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. I mean, just using, cliche language of mobsters. I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. Here's a hint below. What a great hint. It's Donald Trump's mugshot, and it says never surrender on it. Could we just talk for a second how the leader of the Republican Party is making his entire campaign about his criminal record, that he's been convicted of felonies and that he had a mugshot taken. The other major point is that he's friends with a fictional cannibal, Hannibal Lecter, who Donald Trump praises in his speech. And Donald Trump thinks it's also beneficial to claim that Vice President Kamala Harris is not black, despite the fact that she has a black Jamaican father and an Indian mother. Donald Trump says that she turned black when she was running for office, and that's the messaging that he puts out over and over again. So when you click that link, by the way, it's not really much of a surprise. It says, I will never surrender to those radical thugs. I know you won't either. So today, that's what Trump is offering, a limited edition never surrender poster of his mugshot that he has personally signed for his supporters. Moving on, Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign caught the fact that Donald Trump's communications director, Caroline Leavitt, said the following. She posted, why is Kamala Harris afraid to debate President Trump? First off, not the president. When you look at the chyron on the bottom, it's Donald Trump saying, why should I do a debate? You want to talk about gaslighting, Donald? How about the fact that there's a scheduled debate with ABC where you said anywhere, anytime, any place, scheduled for September 10th. Vice President Kamala Harris says, I will be there. Your response is to call George Stephanopoulos Slopodopoulos, and then you say, I will not be showing up because of the unfair Slopodopoulos. So then you unilaterally cancel the debate and then select your own date, which was never agreed to. And then you say that that's the real debate rather than the actual debate that is taking place. But that perfectly sums up Donald Trump. Not only is the momentum in the polling averages now in favor of Vice President Kamala Harris, she's also picked up the endorsement of a very important group called Republicans for Harris. They put out a press release over the weekend, and it says, Republicans for Harris launch with the endorsements across the country. Campaign within a campaign to mobilize and reach Republican Harris voters. State advisory committees will lead organizing across the battleground states with kickoff events in Arizona, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. Here's what it says. Today, Harris for President is launching Republicans for Harris, a grassroots organizing program to further outreach efforts to the millions of Republican voters who continue to reject the chaos, division, and violence of Donald Trump and his Project 2025 agenda. This program will leverage principal travel, on-the-ground organizing efforts, and paid media to reach, persuade, and mobilize Republican voters. As part of today's announcement, Republicans for Harris includes the endorsements by Republican voices from across the country, including former Trump White House officials, and it lists a ton of former Trump officials and very prominent Republicans who are all voting for Vice President Kamala Harris. And it includes people like this, the Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, who's been very outspoken, Jeff Duncan. Here's what he had to say over the weekend. Let's play the clip.
Brian Kemp has forgotten more about being a Republican than Donald Trump knows about being a Republican. Brad Raffensperger and myself included, we have done more for the conservative cause than Donald Trump has ever done. This is now starting to not be Donald Trump's problem. This is starting to be the Republican Party's problem. We have to call him out for what he is. He's a felonious thug who walks down the street and throws sucker punches at people like Brian Kemp, like African-American journalists, like John McCain, and the list goes on and on and on again. And the Republican Party is content sitting across the street watching it happen and not calling him out, not jumping into that fight and saying, you are wrong for us. This 10% in the middle, which now feels like it's growing to be bigger than 10% in the middle, that's going to decide this election are paying attention. And I've never seen a human be more self-destructive than Donald Trump the last 2 weeks. He continues to do it over and over and over again. And when he loses, and the Republican Party finally catches their breath and wakes up and says, we need a GOP 2.0, there'll be some people around, but it's going to take time to fix. My hope is that Kamala Harris ends up being a blank canvas for us to be able to help work these new policies and new ideas into place. That's the risk I'm taking as a Republican voting for Kamala Harris.
Meanwhile, over the weekend as well, Fox had an interview with Shady Vance. Shady Vance was asked, people in both parties, including Republicans, want you gone, Shady. What's your response? Uncomfortable laughter. Play the clip.
First, I want to talk about you because you've got a lot of people talking about you on both the Democrat side and the Republican side. You've heard the chatter. They're saying, some people are saying you were the wrong pick for Trump's running mate. What are you doing about it?
Well, Maria, all I can do is go out there and prosecute the case against Kamala Harris. And
more video of Shady Vance is being unearthed by those who work with the MeidasTouch network. Here's a video that we unearthed of an old interview with Shady Vance and Morning Joe, where Shady Vance compared Donald Trump to opioids. Play the clip.
Absolutely.
It doesn't make sense in some ways, and in other ways it makes all too much sense.
Yeah, it's unfortunate in a lot of ways because I think in many ways what Trump is just another opioid. He's something that's going to take the pain away. He's going to make people feel better for a little while. But at the end of the day, the problems are still going to be there, and Donald Trump isn't going to make them.
And let's talk about the problem.
Speaking of individuals who are bucking a trend and showing that we should all be able to unite and vote for Vice President Kamala Harris, we're seeing lots of videos like this of former Republicans, former independents, and people who are just saying, look, you may think that I look like a Trump voter, but don't let looks fool you here. Don't let how corporate media depicts us fool you here. I've got a granddaughter, people like this are saying, and I want to make sure that she grows up in a place where her freedoms are protected. Check this out. Let's play it.
I'm a 56-year-old white gun-owning country boy. And if Kamala Harris thinks she can get my vote, well, she'd be right. Because I'm also a grandfather. We failed to leave my kids' generation a better world. And now I worry not just about the kind of world we'll leave my grandkids, but what kind of country will we leave them. That other guy, I'm also a veteran from a long line of veterans. And he's just not safe. So yeah, I'll be voting for Kamala Harris because she wants to move us forward.
More whining from Donald Trump as well on his social media platform, posting things like, Biden lost the debate and was down for the count, so they told him to get out of the race. A coup. And installed crazy Kamala. What happens when she loses the debate and goes down? Will they replace her with yet another candidate? Unprecedented disaster for the USA, a real threat to democracy. And he puts that in caps, as our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, says, not sure how she's going to lose the debate when Donald Trump is too chicken to show up. I want to also mention this. Every time Don Jr. or Shady Vance make a post on TikTok or other social media, you see lots of comments like this. JD, the Project 2025 poster boy. Will there be any updates on Cat Moms? You are a comedy show. Where is the couch? Messages like that over and over again. And we will keep reporting on all that here on the MeidasTouch network. But Donald Trump having some real serious issues right now. We're going to cover it every step of the way. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm Ben Meiselas, the MeidasTouch network. Can we hit 3 million subscribers in August? I think we can. Hit subscribe. It's free. Thank you so much for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.